Drunk.
Drunk.
Drunk. Drunk. Drunk. Drunk. Drunk. Drunk. Drunk.
Hammered drunk.
Drunk. Drunk. Drunk. Drunk. Drunk.
Drunk Trade of the Week.
Dustin, this week I had to go back to the Reddit stomping grounds for some inspiration, for some more submissions, and they did not disappoint. This was the very first one after I posted this in a Reddit thread. Not 30 seconds later, I think this one showed up, and it's a doozy. So Carl_42, that's the 42nd Carl with a K and an underscore on Reddit alone. So can't imagine how many Carl C's are out there, but he says, I traded a first and second for Todd Gurley in early 2020 because my drunk ass thought he was all the way back. All the way back, meaning he had some arthritis in them knees. We got to see him on the Falcons. And, he looked good to start the season. So this is clearly when Carl decided to go out and trade for Todd Gurley. Dustin, just initial thoughts on this, besides how awful it is.
Yeah, it's awful. That's my only thought. We all know how that season ended up for him. And yeah, just bad trade. A first and a second. That's such an overpay. It's ridiculous. So very, very drunk making this trade. This is one of the worst ones we've had for quite some time.
Yeah, it was about time we got a bad one in here. We've had too many okay, medium, reasonable, dare I say, trades come through. This one, though, I do want you to put yourself back in the shoes of, let's say, week 9 for 2020, when Todd Gurley on the Atlanta Falcons was the RB6 overall in PPR scoring. That was through week 9. So let's say you're staring at week 9 and you think to yourself, I'm contending. I got a real shot at a championship this year. Is there any part of you that could get on board with this thought process?
Well, if he's saying early in 2020, so like after the first couple of weeks of the season, and you got some, half a dozen RB1 weeks, then sure, I guess it's okay. But that's not what you're expecting when you pay a first and a second. Like, you're expecting a championship caliber player helping your team win the ship. And that is not what Todd Gurley did.
And hopefully for multiple years.
Yeah, and I don't recall, for some reason, my memory wants to say, even though he was, what'd you say, RB6 over those first 9 weeks?
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't a consistent RB6. I feel like there was a lot of boom and bust weeks in there. I could be totally mistaken, but I just feel like it wasn't a very consistent run that you were getting from him over that time.
Yeah, I do recall this being fairly touchdown dependent. I think that's the only thing that saved you. I mean, from an actual scoring like week to week thing, though, I will say if we look back at 2020, he had 2 real duds. He scored 6 points in week 2, 9.5 points in week 6. And then he had like a 10-point showing, but everything else was actually good. But yeah, those ones aren't great for you. And that's going to hurt for sure. Either way, a first and a second round you had to say goodbye to. Maybe, though, those picks were spent on just garbage rookies that also didn't do anything. Maybe that's a way you can make yourself feel better.
That's right.
Because we can't.
That's right. No, there's nothing redeeming about this. Especially since then, he's, out of the league and hasn't done anything. So it's even a bigger disappointment. So sorry, Carl with a K.